you get to Houston and you get this location in Westheimer. Tell us about what it was like to start a jiu-jitsu. Was there any other jiu-jitsu studios in Houston at the time?
Yeah, hold on.
Well,
Things get
yeah.
better.
Okay.
Things get better.
Yeah.
Nothing in my life was ever easy.
Yeah.
Okay. So 1 month out that I'm actually do my grand open, I find out that Helion Gracie, the son and the brother of my teacher,
Yeah.
opening a school on the same street of me, 1 mile from me, and he will live there and he will teach. The Gracie will teach.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I say, shit. I'm screwed because I got the money from my father-in-law.
Yeah.
I told him I'm good on this. I proved it to him that I'm good. And now the Gracie going to take everything from me.
Yeah.
And end up that he closed his school. And then I started business.
Yeah. Wow. You want to talk about that a little bit?
It was like people might have better name and maybe they have a better titles than me.
Yeah.
But the work effort.
Yeah.
And the desire to succeed, it's hard to find someone that has the same drive that I have.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that about you. I could tell that from you. Literally the very first class I went, I was like, this guy has something. Like it was clear to me. And I've been around a lot of super successful, driven people, but it was clear to me from the very first moment I saw you. I was like, this guy, actually, I'll tell you, the first time I saw you, Ulpiano, this was the thought that went in my head. Holy shit, that is the toughest looking person I've ever seen in my life. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe how tough that guy is.
I don't even have a cauliflower ears, nothing.
I know, but I couldn't believe
I was on a nice haircut. I was clean. So I looked like a mama's boy.
And I don't know if I told you this, Ulpiano, but here's how I ended up at your studio. I Googled Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu near me. And yours was the closest studio. And I didn't know a single person when not nobody. And walked in there just because it happened to be the closest one. And I thank God, like you're saying, it was destiny that you got into jiu-jitsu. I'm like, how lucky am I that the best jiu-jitsu studio in the country happened to be about 4 miles from my house. So anyway, you're in Houston and you're in the Westheimer area. Do you remember? Because I talked to the first student you ever have in Houston. Yeah, I talked to Philip. I talked to him last week for quite a while. Do you remember the story about when he first came to your studio? Yeah.
Yeah, he comes every day across the street from his house and asks, when you guys open?
Yeah.
Because doing construction, I have a table outside that I spend 3 hours every day to try to get customers.
Yeah. Philip said you were literally painting, I think. You were like painting the studio.
I didn't paint because when I did the construction, they paint, I was actually installing the things because when you rent a commercial property, they give you a TI.
Tenant improvement. Yeah, tenant improvement. Yeah.
And everything that they give it to me was they call vanilla box.
Yeah.
So I did everything that they do. They paint for me, but install the mats, install the bleachers, install the pictures, install everything was me and my father-in-law and my wife.
Yeah.
So Philip comes every day. Hey, when you guys going to open? I say, maybe next week.
Yeah.
Next week. So he was my actually very first student. And today he's a black belt.
And he told me, by the way, that when you first opened that you would teach the classes and then your students, he said when you first started out, you didn't have a lot of students and they were mainly all white belts, of course. And he said they would ask questions after class. You would stay late. You would go Saturday night. You would come up in the morning early. And this is when you have a newborn kid, but he said he said you wouldn't charge for this extra time either. And so Philip said it was clear to me very early on that for Ulpiano, this is, of course, it's a business, but it's more than a business. There's something more. Yeah. And he also told me a story, and I want you to talk about this if you don't mind. He said 4 months after you opened, your students came to you and said, we want to enter a jiu-jitsu tournament. Do you remember that?
Yeah, they all went to jiu-jitsu tournament, yes.
Yeah, and he said you let them do it. You went in there and coached them, and they were totally unexperienced, and they actually did fairly well. And you told them afterwards you had some reservations about it, but you didn't tell them that before you went to the tournament. Do you remember that story?
I remember that. I have a guy named Dean.
Yeah.
Okay. So this guy, Philip, I don't know if you mentioned this, but this guy, Dean, at the school on the classes, a girl pulled him to sleep.
Oh, God.
And this guy signed up for the tournament. I get that. I said, yeah. How am I gonna coach this guy? He submit every single one.
Are you serious? Wow.
I'm 100% serious.
Yeah. Okay.
He has a long hair, he's skinny guy.
Yeah.
Mama's boy, total mama's boy.
Yeah.
Goes right there and submit every single one.
Wow.
You know, it's just jiu-jitsu is something that it's just surprised me every day.
Yeah, for sure. So you opened, what year was it that you opened your
2010.
first? 2010.
Actually, the end of December of 2010.
And how big was
2,800 square feet.
Okay. And
I was the one that teach every single class.
Yeah.
My wife was the servando. My wife was the program director.
Yeah.
And the cleaner. So we did everything, and we have classes, almost the same amount of classes we have today. Since day one, I have a lot of classes. Yes.
How many higher ranked belts did you have when you first opened your studio?
None. The first, I don't know if you remember at the seminar.
Yeah.
That we have at the Pedro got the belt. I introduced one guy. His name is Danny. He was there.
Yeah.
So he actually was this one of, I'm not gonna say second, but one of the few first students. I don't know exactly the number. I remember Philip because he was the number one. But it was from the same week he signed up and he was already blue belt.
Wow.
And he's still blue belt. He moves to another state. Now he just actually got his purple belt not too long ago. But I just say he was my first higher belt. But one thing that I did since day one, I should train with everybody.
Yeah.
Every day with everybody. I still do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've seen you do that. And we're going to talk about that in just a little bit. How many black belts, 10 years, you just celebrated the 10-year anniversary. How many black belts do you have now?
40 plus.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.